He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Nau mai, whakaronga mai ki te Aotai Whenua. Welcome to the Country Life Summer Series. I'm Sally Round, taking you back to some of the farms and orchards we visited during the year. Today, Cosmo's with chooks on a cliff edge. I'm picking apples, and Leah meets a dairy farmer who hails from Japan. First to Te Waiwai free-range egg farm between Tuatapere and Riverton in Southland. Cosmo Kentish Barnes is there with Anna Penn and her 2IC Yvonne Nimmo.
Do you want me to load?
Yeah.
What's happening right now, Yvonne?
We're grading the eggs into sizes through the, what's it called, Anna? Candela.
They're rolling over a light. Yep. That's a clever idea.
Yeah. So I can see if there's any cracks, but also I can see them and feel them as well.
Yes, and there's quite a variety of sizes.
Yes. These girls have only been laying for about 2 weeks. And look at the size of that already in 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. Now one's going through with a crack. You can see it there in the light. What happens to that? Smash.
Smash in the bucket.
I would ask you to do that again for sound effects, but obviously you don't want to waste any eggs. Now, how many eggs are you processing today? Because it looks like there are, thousands in here.
This is 2 days worth at the moment. So I collect about 2,000, just over 2,000 odd eggs a day in grade.
And you've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 sizes?
We've got the smalls and 5s, and then we've got 8s and 7s and 6s.
What is the most popular size?
I would say it's 7.
It's the best poaching egg.
People like them big, but not too big.
Yes. And then we get the double yolkers.
What happens to those?
I'm lucky enough to take some home to eat.
And Rob gives them as gifts to our clients. So he shares them around our clients in both retail, supermarket and the cafes. So everyone gets a turn at getting double yolkers.
Anna, you are laying the eggs onto the conveyor belt that goes over the light testing machine.
Yes.
And this is your business.
Yes, yep. Mine and Rob, my husband, we started Te Waiwai in December 2019 from scratch. We just had a few fancy birds and thought, well, what can we do with 60 acres? It's sort of not big enough for a sheep farm or a dairy farm, and we loved birds, so we thought, well, we'll give it a go. So we started with a coop and then 2 coops, and then Rob thought, well, I can build these bigger and better, and so now we have 6 coops. So we're just sitting at under 3,000 birds. So we've got Yvonne, she's with us Monday to Friday, but we pick up the weekends and we do a lot of the sorting and the packing and, putting in the van and the deliveries and the paperwork.
And of course, it's a good time to be producing free-range eggs.
Yes, obviously the demand's gone through the roof and there are big reasons behind that, around the phasing out of caged eggs. So normally New Zealand runs at around 4,200,000 and I think we're down to about 3,600,000, I think was the last figures I saw. I think we're roughly down around 400,000 hens.
Yeah. So that's why there's this egg shortage right now.
Yes, but it's my understanding that when the moratorium was created in 2012, that 87% of the flock was encaged. In 2019, some of the big chain supermarkets has said that they wouldn't accept any caged eggs full stop. So as we sit now, we've got a third in colony cages, we've got a third in barn, and we've got a third in free ranges. So that third in colony, some big chain supermarket won't accept those anymore, and I believe that's why more farmers haven't gone into colony, and that's what I think is the pressure behind the 400,000 list.
Because the colony system is essentially larger cages, is that right?
Yeah, they have what they call enrichments in the cages, so it's different to battery. The birds, sorry. So they have 60, what they call 60 units or 60 birds per cage, and the cage is 4 metres, I believe, by 4, it could be 4 or 3, I'm not sure, you'd have to double check me. But they have enrichments, which is roosts, they have a plastic mat that they can scratch, and they have a nest box, and that is legal. The government is absolutely fine with that. It's not the government, it's some big chain supermarkets that have said that they won't accept the colonies. So
Gosh, so lots of changes which are still ongoing.
yes, it's going to be an interesting time in eggs, but insofar as Tiwaiwai is concerned, with 3,000 hens, we're a drop in the ocean.
In terms of what Anna was saying about the size of the colony cages, I checked out the minimum space requirements in the Ministry for Primary Industries Code of Welfare document for layer hens. And it specifies that cages must have a minimum area of 750 centimetres square per hen, or 13 hens per square metre. Now, behind the egg sorting shed is what Anna calls the home paddock. This is where she breeds and raises rare birds.
I've got peahen there, so that's the female to the peacock. She's got little 3 babies over there. And
Very elegant.
yes, they are, aren't they?
This is the nursery we're about due to go through.
Oh, now we should have got some food.
This is where all the mums come to have all the wee babies. This is the Ericanas. Yep.
Yep, so these are lovely. They're a South American bird. Vasco da Gama used them on the big exploring ships because they could withstand being submerged in the baskets on the bow of the ship, still lay eggs. They're just my little sideline. Everyone tends to, if you like birds, they have their particular bird that they like, and I like the Araucana. I like the eggs, and it's taken me a long time, but I think I've got teal eggs.
Have you always had an interest in birds?
Yes. I could show you a photo, and there's about 2 when I'm at my grandmother's farm, and I'm surrounded by birds and swans and Muscovy ducks and everything. So yes, always been a bird fancier. Never realised it would reach quite this peak. But yeah, no, I find them fascinating endlessly.
Where did your grandparents have their farm?
Down in Rangitata. I spent many summers down there. I was a Christchurch person as well.
Oh, okay.
And we left after the earthquakes.
A path through some trees and flax bushes leads to a long and skinny block of land. This is where Anna and her husband Rob have established their free-range egg farm. The sea is right there, the ocean.
Yes, I can actually take you down to the cliff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Shall we go down through Coop 1? Yep. Come down.
So tell me about this type of chicken that you've got for producing eggs.
Well, the brown shaver, it's very efficient. It's a hybrid. So most chickens, as any bird owner will know of hens will go broody at a drop of a hat, come summer, come spring, come heat. And so these birds, their broodiness has somehow been cut out.
Yes.
Down through the hybridation. I'm not even sure what you call it, but the brown shavers do not go broody as a rule.
And so how many eggs do one of these chickens produce on average a day?
One is what we go for at this size, and the rollover, if you like, is when we don't look at individual birds, obviously, there's too many. What we look at is the percentage of lay over the entire coop. So once a coop falls below a 70% lay, that's when we just roll out, and that's when they go to end of lay or last chance saloon, and that's when we sell them to the community.
So when their ability to lay eggs goes down due to age, you'll sell them to people who want to have a couple of chickens in their backyard.
Yes, and the girls are still laying eggs. They just won't be laying eggs 7 days a week. But having said that, sometimes they bounce back because there isn't the competition, or some chickens win chook lotto. They go to absolutely wonderful homes and they end up with, people stringing cabbages up for them to eat and feeding them fruit, and they're a wonderful pet, and a lot of Kiwis, older Kiwis, remember the backyard chicken. So we have a lot of repeat buyers, older people who just come back and they just absolutely love them and spoil them rotten.
The chickens are all around us, pecking, scratching, searching for little goodies.
Talking. They're talking.
Yes, you are good talkers, aren't you?
Yeah.
And they look out over the cliff towards the sea.
Yes, they're direct south, so I think we're about 1,800, 2,000 nautical miles from the ice. We're about 35 nautical miles from Stewart Island. You can see out there. Oh, and Solander's gone and hidden itself. And you could see it this morning. But that's the western end of the Humpridge Track, Fiordland. Over there, the Princess Mountains, Tiwaiwai Bay. It's a mammal sanctuary.
And we are here at the bottom of the island.
Yes.
This must be the southernmost egg farm in Aotearoa.
Yes. And I tell you what, because we're here and we've got a little bit of adversity in the weather with the wind and stuff like that, I think the chickens create a great egg. I think a little bit of adversity makes the birds stronger and their product, they put merino at high altitude to get a finer micron, right?
Yes.
In the wool. Put a little bit of adversity in the environment. Not bad.
Good, hardy chickens.
Good, hardy chickens.
Now we've walked through the coop, and this is the gate that heads out to the cliff. Oops. There are some quite big waves today.
Yes, Tiwaiwai Bay, yes, we had surfers here the other day, which made me worry because Stewart Island, Yvonne will know this, I thought it was known as the Leah for the great white.
I'm not 100% sure on that one either, no. I know there is a lot of sharks out there.
What can you see?
Solander Island.
Solander.
Oh, there's Solander. It's just coming into view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sticking up
Yes.
like the end of a thumb.
There's 3 islands there, but you can only see the
there
one.
is.
It must be good for the chickens to get this beautiful ocean air into their lungs.
Yeah, it's just minerally enriched, everything about it. And when you're living next to a body of water like this, it might sound a wee bit airy-fairy, but you've got a molecular resonance. If you think about birds are 90% water, humans are 90% water, you're living next to a body of water that big. I think there's a resonance. And overall, it's a confluence of factors, environmental factors, that just make this work.
Looking back into the paddock, the grass is so long that you can hardly even see the chickens.
Yes. Oh no, they've definitely got all the goodies they need. And Rob makes all our feed on site. We don't buy any food off site. Our grain grower is just down the road. He's a local boy, and we do our mix in the mill, and no chemical colouring at all to enrich the colour of the yolks. And there's no genetically modified, none of all that soy, none of all that type of stuff. We try and be as whole food as possible.
Keep it natural and local.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing.
Yeah. And to stop the chickens from flying off the edge of the cliff, you put a see-through fence up.
Yeah, just a windbreak. We do get a lot of uplift here because they're so steep. It comes up. You'll find in the big winds, the cattle, they'll come and sit on the top along here because it just hits and goes straight up. But this is just to give the birds a little bit of a break.
Do the chickens sometimes escape and end up down on the beach?
Never. Never, but the bulls do. We've seen the bulls tearing across the beach. That was a funny sight. Shall we go and collect some eggs? You'll
Yeah.
get some chatting. You won't be able to hear yourself think.
Tell me about this little vehicle here.
This is the wee buggy. This is the buggy. This is Yvonne's little buggy.
What do you do with this buggy?
I go around and collect the eggs and put the eggs in the back, and then when I finish, I take them back in and unload them into the grading room.
How many hours does that take?
2 hours a day. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just go from coop to coop.
Yep. Yeah, we'll go and do collect in coop 5 now, and if you'll be able to see those girls.
We've got a very, very good system where the girls can just lay and just through a natural gradient the eggs just roll away.
You want that, don't you?
Yvonne's pulling her trolley in towards the coop.
This one's an escapee.
Yes, time to get the eggs. I am going to try and make my way through hundreds of inquisitive chickens so I can get to the inside of the coop. Sorry. Okay, here we are. And Yvonne and Anna are checking inside for any eggs that haven't rolled down onto the conveyor belt.
So this coop isn't finished completely, we're getting there. They're warm, they're fed, they're sheltered, they're happy. Okay, it mightn't be completely finished, but we're getting there. Who is the one that gets wet and uncomfortable? The humans. The birds are fine. Right, Yvonne?
Yes.
Now we are in coop 5 and some of the chooks are in here taking a break.
Yes.
Others are going out the other end.
Yes.
And so they can just come and go.
Yes, this is their little house. It's in an oval shape which acts as a sucker in the wind. It's not a flip, but a suck goes over the top and it pulls it down.
Because the wind must get quite strong here.
It gets fierce. Have a look at the trees. They're sideways.
And this is where all the laying happens.
Yes, so the eggs just roll away, goes down through this.
And we can see some eggs down there.
Yep, but I just checked to make sure none are caught. And there's a wee ledge in there, so it's just making sure that everything is loosened up.
And the eggs just roll out here.
Yep, they do. They just wind the handle and out they come.
Everything is pretty basic. It's labour intensive. There's no mechanical is what I mean to say. In the big operations, everything's mechanical. The feed's mechanical, the manure's taken out mechanically, the water's mechanical, the eggs are collected mechanically. It's just a massive... You think of a shed with 20,000, 30, 50,000 eggs.
You're the opposite.
Yes, we're everything's just hands-on, and that's why the girls are just like they're around you all the time. You can just... Because we come in so many times a day, we're checking the water, we're checking the feed, we're checking the nest boxes to make sure that no one's, in trouble. Sometimes they get egg bound. Woohoo! You need gentle intervention sometimes. We're so small we can do that.
Are you enjoying this journey?
Yes, thoroughly. I think it's great. I think it's going to work. It is working. We could take double the orders, we just can't. But what we've got, who we've got, we're loyal to, and they seem to be very happy with the product. And I just think it's a great environment for birds.
So with all Rob's skills and with your passion and fascination with birds, you're a great team.
Yeah, we are. We work well together. He's the yin to my yang. He's the better and more intelligent half, with the building and stuff like that. And he does all the electrics and all the heavy loader work and stuff like that, And I'm just more a watcher and stuff like that. I just sit back, and I do actually run the regulations, actually. I do the MPI regs.
Such an important piece of the puzzle.
Yes, that's it.
And another trolley full of eggs to be graded.
Yes, that's it. Well, tomorrow now. So that's it for today. We just take them back, or Yvonne takes them back to the shed. We empty them out, and then we sit down and we have a debrief and a vino, and we talk about things and any problems in the coop, maintenance and repair.
What a great way to end the day.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's all part of working for yourself, isn't it? It's just lovely.
That's friendly, dear, look.
Very friendly.
They are friendly. They get a lot of human time.
Yeah, which is good.
Oh, a scared animal is full of adrenaline, cortisol. It'll turn itself off from its natural process because it's in flight or fight.
Don't go under the pool.
See, it's very primitive, Cosmo. There's nothing flesh about here.
These girls won't get in the road.
All right, I'll follow you. Come on, lady.
Anna Penn ending that story from Southland.
This is Country Life on RNZ National 101 FM.
There's nothing like heading out with a basket to pick fruit from a tree. We're heading to Wairarapa now to meet a Greytown family who got into pick-your-own apples at the end of last summer.
Hi, I'm Merrin Cook. I'm the daughter of Juliet and Ed Cook. I started out as a musician. I studied oboe at Victoria University and did postgrad in Germany. Then after I came back to New Zealand and had my daughter, I went to law school. So law is my second career. I currently work for the government, and I also play principal oboe with Orchestra Wellington. And I'm the self-appointed marketing manager of Molewood Orchard. The really exciting thing is that we've decided to open this year for Pick Your Own Apples, which is the first time we've ever done that. And it's actually quite unusual in Greytown these days, as far as we know, nobody else is opening for Pick Your Own.
What's special about Pick Your Own?
I think it's the whole immersive experience. I mean, as you can hear, you're surrounded by cicadas and birds, and you're in the middle of all these green trees. It's just so lush, and it smells really nice. It's the whole experience of picking warm fruit off the tree and being able to eat them straight away when they're still warm from the sun. It's just a really immersive sort of experience.
Will people have free run of the place?
That's pretty much the plan. We'll give them a map and we'll tell them which varieties are ripe so that they all come ripe at different times. So, I mean, we haven't started yet, so it's possible there'll be some fine-tuning as we go along, but the idea is that we just give them the map and say, off you go.
What do you remember about picking your own fruit when you were a kid?
I remember eating the strawberries. I think there used to be a policy that you could eat as much as you could, so that was pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, there were a whole bunch of berry orchards just along the road from where we lived, and so we often got sent off to go and pick some berries for dessert or for jam making.
Yeah, it's a nostalgic thing, isn't it? People remember this as children.
It really
not
is.
Something that, well, there are places you can go now, but fewer and fewer.
Exactly. Yeah, it was such an integral part of our childhood. But I was talking to a friend recently, and she said she'd never been in an orchard. And that really surprised me. But then when I thought about it, why would you go in an orchard now if you don't know someone who knows one and nobody's opening for Pick Your Own? You just never get that opportunity.
Connecting with where your food comes from, I guess that will be a big part of it for people as well.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a real pleasure in actually picking what you're eating. No, I was surprised how nice this one is, actually.
Well, actually, it is.
It's really good. I mean, I guess these are some of the ripest.
It's vastly
Improved.
sweeter than last week.
The last week, yeah. It's certainly coming in.
Yeah, we're walking and crunching at the same time, aren't we?
Yes. Now, these are the sun glow. They are very dark, and in fact, when they're ripe, they're almost black. They're, you can see that one up there. Hello, I'm Ed Cook. Have been a lawyer, but retired now. I was also a part-time professional musician, playing violin, viola in what is now Orchestra Wellington. I've always made things. and of course I was one of the leading proponents of this apple orchard.
And we are recording this after a horrific week. You must be feeling for your fellow orchardists.
I certainly am doing that. Oh, the poor people. The devastation that's being shown is just horrendous.
And you know the hard work that goes into having an orchard, running an orchard?
Mm-hmm, yep, absolutely. Even though this is our first season running it ourselves,
the Cooks helped plant the 10.5 hectare orchard with its 6,500 trees 3 decades ago. But they leased it out when things got too busy with their other jobs. They took it back nearly a year ago after COVID took its toll on the operator who was leasing it, and fruit was left to rot on the orchard floor.
No pickers, no RSE workers, or very difficult to get them. Shipping was problematic, expensive. Chilled containers, almost impossible to get for a while. And so, decisions as to what we do. Do we carry on, or do we just, fold our tents and sell up and make money out of the place?
So why didn't you do that? Seems like an easier option.
Yes, well, I happen to have a view about soils and elite soils and what has happened in New Zealand. Yes.
Tell me more.
I wouldn't say I'm a ranting environmentalist, but I do hold a very firm belief that the elite soils should not be changed into housing. The council, I'm going to be a little bit sort of careful here what I say, they have actually passed a specific zoning on this orchard and this block for future urban development. But we have existing use rights under the RMA, so while we continue orcharding, they can't do anything further about it. And so I'm hoping that that's going to go on into the future. So we had to orchard, really.
We have a large 24-metre wide curving roadway with irrigation ditch, footpath, cycle path, lawn, leading right to our boundary.
And that is destined on the council plan, that roadway, to come straight through the middle of this orchard, right where we're standing here.
Oh, so it's in preparation. It's actually going nowhere at the moment.
We're holding it back.
Going nowhere, we're holding it back.
The road literally goes right up to the trees. It's the road to the trees at the moment.
Wow, interesting.
So what do we do? Sally, you tell us.
We sell apples. We sell lots of apples.
The town, Greytown, was known as a kind of a fruit bowl back in the day, wasn't it? But that's not the case anymore. Yours is one of the last orchards left.
In 1988, there were approximately 26 orchards and berry fruit farms and market gardens. Now, and it's only 33 years later, there is one of that original 26 left. That's Pinehaven Orchards.
Why did that happen?
There'll be a variety of reasons. In terms of the market gardens, vegetables and so on, a lot of them were Chinese, and the children didn't wish to become orchardists, or the parents wanted them to be educated and take up careers, often professional. So that's really what happened. They ran out of oomph.
No one willing to take it on, but now the land is covered in houses. It's a very popular place to live, isn't it?
Unfortunately, from my point of view.
Juliet, what do you remember of the old days of Greytown?
When we first came to Greytown, we felt we stuck out like sore thumbs because everybody had been here all their lives and we were new imports. So we felt very conspicuous at first. But we did enjoy coming to a rural town where the pace of life was a bit gentler than the city, And there were all these fruits and vegetables and berries available to pick or buy from the grower. I mean, I can remember as a small child, we used to come over, our family, to visit friends in Masterton who had lots of plum trees, and we would also stock up on apples.
Juliet, you were involved in planting this orchard as well?
Yes.
What was it like?
It was hard work, digging a lot of holes and putting the young plants in.
Ed, who's in his early 80s, is not only a musician, a lawyer and an orchardist. He's had time to do a bit of research into the local soils over the years.
Greytown was picked in about 1953 by a Dr. Cowie of the Soil Bureau, who was charged with finding the next place that would supply fruit and vegetables to Wellington, because the Hutt Valley, which was the previous supplier, they had built it out with housing and industry, hadn't they? So all of those orchards and market gardens were finished, and so Cowie was tasked with finding the next place, and he located both Greytown and Horowhenua. There is a soil map of Greytown, and he came to the conclusion that the Greytown soils, and there's about 8 categories, were mostly very suitable, but the top soils were Greytown 3 and Greytown 3D, the D being deep, and this orchard is actually situated on both those soils.
You get sick of apples, Ed?
I'm not totally partially fond of them, actually.
Really? An apple grower that doesn't really like apples?
I sample them, are they ripe? Are we, how are they going? But I don't really like a lot of apples.
You're not really a connoisseur of apples, then?
No.
Who is? Are you, Julia?
I'm the biggest apple eater in the family, yes.
Yeah. But we have them stewed, and we have all sorts of ways, of course. That's Granny Smith's over there.
So out of the orchard and into the shed, and here's Wendell. Wendell, you're getting prepared for the weekend?
G'day, yes I am. Yep, just putting the finishing touches on this sign for the front gate, inviting people to come in and pick your own.
Now you are basically in charge of the orchard, are you?
Yeah, I mean, with Dad and with lots of assistance from people who know better. But yep, I share the blame.
You're not an orchardist or a horticulturalist by training, though, are you?
No, absolutely not. I do have memories of as being, as a teenager sitting around in the lounge, snipping off lengths of wire and threading them through plastic sheaths, and bending the ends to form kind of ties for the trees when they were small and being put in. That was the extent of it as a teenager, and then when I was at uni, I kind of mowed a bit. But really, no, I do not have a horticultural background.
Has it been a steep learning curve, or is it sort of ingrained
It's
in
been
the
an
family?
insanely steep learning curve. I couldn't even remember how to drive a tractor, and, had never sprayed. So, I've had to, get my head around new gear. Things like fungal diseases, black spot and powdery mildew, chemicals. Pruning, I'd never pruned. Just day-to-day orchard work that I knew nothing about. And I've had lots of assistance from JR's Orchards and other people.
What have been the biggest challenges so far in the season, especially for someone who is new to it?
Yeah, I mean, the weather's been crazy. I think a lot of experienced orchardists have said to me this is one of the hardest years they've had, just in terms of how much rain we had over spring and summer. So, sprays are constantly being washed off. You have to reapply them. And, once you do get, like, say, black spot in on the tops, it washes down. And so, just those kinds of challenges have been crazy. There's a whole lot more that should go on, but we don't have resources. For instance, we probably only pruned about a quarter of what needed to be pruned last season. Your orchard listeners are going to be horrified. And the trees are immense, and so there's just a whole lot sort of that we haven't been able to get around to. We didn't thin this year, so some of the trees are top heavy and the apples will be smaller than, what would be ideal, I guess. So yeah, there's lots and lots of work. We're just sort of doing what we can.
So it's kind of a labour of love, really, almost, isn't it, for this whole family?
Yeah, it has become that, yeah. And it's been really awesome seeing roping my brother and sister and my mum in to do the social media and to be working in the shop. That's really cool.
You're a bit of a linguist. You're passionate about the Chinese language?
Yeah, I'm a practitioner rather than an expert. I did a 3-year BA in Mandarin back in the 90s, lived in Beijing for 3 years, and some of my earlier jobs involved using Mandarin.
Are you going to be using your Chinese on the orchard?
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I've just been hitting up my Chinese friends and contacts in the community to create a poster for the orchard in Mandarin, and I'll be sharing that out on WeChat. So it says at the top, Molewood Orchard, 苹果采摘季开始了. So Molewood Orchard apple picking season has begun. 我们为您提供完美的周末活动计划, which says, we've got wonderful plans for your weekend, i.e. picking apples at our place. And so, I hope to see lots of Chinese friends come out.
This is a departure, really, from how the orchard's been operating in the past. It was leased and most of the apples were going for export. How do you think this is going to go, the pick your own?
We don't know. It's a bit of an experiment. We are still providing apples to retailers, and I hope to also pick for juice. And on top of that, I guess our third income stream is going to be the pick your own. But look, there's a far greater quantity of apples and pears than we can pick and sell ourselves. So we are going to be reliant on the pick your own to kind of, tide us over.
It's a lovely experience. It's actually, you can see, would people come and picnic in the rows and that sort of thing?
That's what we're inviting them to do.
Yeah.
Or up.
Yeah, we're just opening it up, basically.
Or up the headland here, under the trees here.
They'll need to watch their children. You wouldn't want to lose small children in here. It'd be a nightmare.
It's like a maze, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here we go. Here's the road, poking through the shelter belt here, and there is a road coming right up to your orchard.
To our boundary.
To your boundary. It's a road literally to nowhere at the moment because there's a whole bunch of apple trees in here. You're a bit of a rebel, Ed. Mm-hmm. You're holding out.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right.
What are you going to do? Are you going to pin signs to this fence? You're just going to hold out and not sell.
Well, that's about all we can do, really, isn't it? If I'm going to be true to my principles. But I'm 81 in a couple of weeks, I have to say. And who knows? We might tip over what the family will do.
Merrin, over to you.
Well, I must say, I didn't grow up with the orchard because it was planted after I'd left home. But just in the last few months when I've really got involved in helping Mum and Dad with it, I've become really, really fond of it. It's such a wonderful place, and it would just be terribly sad to see it cut up for houses. So I'm doing what I can to keep it going.
Merrin Cook and her father Ed at Molewood Orchard. Imagine a love for cows pulling you 10,000 kilometres from your homeland. Leah Tebbett travelled to Galatea to meet Bay of Plenty Dairy Manager of the Year, Chi Hanyuda.
It's a busy time of the year for Chi. It's calving season. Today she's calved 16 calves. So after a mucky afternoon in the paddocks, we settled down for a trip down memory lane in front of a roasting fire.
You were born in Japan, weren't you? So how long ago did you move to New Zealand?
About 7 years ago. So I always wanted to be a dairy farmer growing up, but of course looked at being a farmer over there in Japan, but I realised that it was hard to make a living out of farming. So I decided to look at overseas and just happened to end up in New Zealand, really. Where I grew up, I say it's a rural area, but rural in Japan, so it's not really rural here, so I can't really say that, but it's a small town, and my dad is a tax accountant, and my mom, when I was a kid, she stay-home mom, but she eventually started helping out my dad at his office.
True.
Well, yeah.
So where did the dairy farm or farming dream come from for you?
To be honest, I have no idea. Like, I always liked animals to start with, but especially cows. And like even in Japan, the scale's way smaller over there than here. But every time like, I smelt some cows or like saw some cows, I would just run to them and then like, oh, the cows! So like I have no idea where that came from. And then like when I first came here, I wanted to be a farmer, but I didn't know what kind of farmer I wanted to be. And I just happened to run into a dairy farmer and I got hooked, really.
What is it about dairy farming that you enjoy?
Working with cows and like just being outdoors, I suppose. That's the main thing, because I don't think I could ever sit in an office and, you know, work all day. It's just not for me. You know, what can you do?
So where did you first land? What was the position that you first got when you arrived?
Oh, so when I first came here, I went to Mass University in Palmy first to do some studying. And I met some people through like some volunteer programs at uni. And then I was introduced to a farmer around Palmy, and then I got to do a little bit of work experience on his farm. So yeah, he taught me, because I didn't really have any background in farming at all before I came here. So he taught me everything from zero. And after uni, I got a full-time job just outside of Taupo as a dairy assistant.
From the dairy assistant role in Taupo, how many years ago did you move to Galatea?
So that was the beginning of last season, so June last year.
You moved here?
Yeah.
And you were put into the manager's role straight away?
Yeah. So between Taupo and here, I worked at the Kaimais for about a year as well. Started as a dairy assistant and then got promoted to a junior herd manager. And then that role kind of led me to this manager role here.
My gosh, so you've made like a big jump up in terms of not knowing anything and not
yeah. Yeah, that's what people said to me. But to be honest, for me, it was always about like, looking for opportunities, because it's easy to get comfortable at one place, but it's harder to get like new opportunities that way. I always wanted to like look out for, you know, different opportunities, different skill sets, different, I don't know, because every farm's different. So the more farms you go to, the more you learn, I suppose.
To describe the farm that we're at today, what is it? How big is it? How many cows?
So we've got about 400 cows. We don't really have young stock on farm. We keep calves till May, and they go off to our grazier, and then our heifers come back the end of June, July-ish. So yeah, 400 cows, 148 hectares effective, and dead flat, which I love so much. Especially because at Taupo, I just started learning how to ride a two-wheeler, so it was not a fun farm to practice on. So here, like, I'm still not good at riding a two-wheeler, but it's so much easier, like less risk of getting stuck and all that. So, yeah.
The thing that sticks out to me a little bit, and obviously probably anyone else, is being a woman.
Yeah.
What's that like, being on farm and being a woman, but also I guess just walking around town? You know, do people expect that you're a farmer?
No, definitely not. So yeah, that's like the main barrier for me in this industry, being an Asian and female. Like, people don't really look at me and think, oh, she's a farmer. Like in the past, especially in the past, I found it really hard to even get to an interview when I was applying for jobs. I don't know if it was because of the nationality or the fact that I'm female. I don't know if that's that. Yeah, like I found it really hard, and even like when I first started on the farm at Taupo, I feel like I wasn't really taken seriously. There are some challenges, I suppose, but that's for everyone. It's just different types of challenges for different people, I suppose.
But I guess because you have a daughter, you must feel quite proud showing that, you can do anything.
Yeah, definitely. So she's been my motivation ever since she came along, really. Like, here I am living by myself most of the time. It can get tough, but my partner and I talked when he got a job in Tauranga, because when we first moved here, he had a job in Whakatane. So when that happened, we talked about it and then decided that staying on this farm now would be the best option for us in the long run, because we're not going to live apart forever, obviously. But at least for now, this will be the first step for me to climb up the ladder in the industry and then get more opportunities in the future.
So what are those opportunities that you're looking for? What's the limit?
I say eventually I want to get to farm ownership. That was my childhood dream, having a little dairy farm and have a little store as well to sell some products. Want to get there eventually, but because I started from zero and that didn't really help with my career progression when in terms of my age and so I don't know when that would happen, but for now we're looking at contract milking just to get us to the next level, I suppose.
Wait, that's 7 years ago you moved to New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've done a lot, achieved a lot. Do you look back on it and think, how the heck did I get here?
Yeah, because I still keep in touch with that farmer. We still quite often joke about do you remember Chi on day one? And because I randomly showed up, or I had an appointment and all that, but showed up. They were like, oh, so what do you want to learn about farming? And I was like, because I didn't know anything about farming, I just said everything. And then they just pretty much showed me everything, really. Oh, they did their best to anyway. I was just lucky to meet all those people who gave me the opportunity, really, every time I was looking for a job, because without those people, I wouldn't have got anywhere, really.
If someone else was in a similar position to you and didn't know where to start or didn't have the courage, what would you say to them?
Oh, definitely go for it.
Chi Hanyuda. Well, that's it for this summer edition of Country Life. Hope you can join us again next time. From me, Sally Round, and the rest of the Country Life team, hei kona.